I was driving home early through the worst storm we had seen in years, excited to surprise Sarah with the good news about my promotion. The power was out across the entire neighborhood as I pulled into our driveway. Our house was dark, except for the faint glow of candles coming from the living room windows. After 7 years of marriage, I still got butterflies thinking about coming home to her. As I quietly entered through the garage door, I heard laughter and voices coming from our living room. Sarah was talking to someone, but who would be visiting during a blackout? Let me know where you are watching from, and hit that like and subscribe button before I tell you what happened next, because trust me, what I discovered that night changed my life forever. I met Sarah when I was 28, working as a structural engineer at Thompson Construction. I specialized in high-rise buildings, spending my days suspended 40 stories above the ground, checking steel beams and safety protocols. The pay was excellent because of the risks involved. $2 million in life insurance seemed like a responsible choice to protect Sarah if anything ever happened to me. Sarah was the architect assigned to our newest downtown project. The first time I saw her reviewing blueprints in the site office, her long, dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. Her green eyes focused intensely on the plans. I was completely captivated. We dated for 2 years before getting married in a small ceremony with just close friends and family. Sarah always said she loved my practical nature, my reliability, my strong hands that could build anything. We bought our house last year, a beautiful colonial in a quiet suburban neighborhood with good schools for the kids we planned to have soon. Our bedroom was painted a soft blue, waiting for the nursery furniture we had been saving for. Life seemed perfect. Sarah had her own architectural firm now, and I had just been promoted to safety manager at Thompson. We took vacations to national parks, hiked on weekends, hosted dinner parties for our friends. I thought we were happy. I really did. Looking back, I should have noticed the small changes. Sarah started staying late at work more often, missing our usual Friday night dinner dates. She changed her hairstyle, bought new clothes, started wearing perfume I had never smelled before, but I trusted her completely. When a text message popped up on her phone one evening that simply said, "Thinking about you," I believed her when she said it was from a client. Then Adam moved in next door, 3 months ago. Divorced, successful investment banker with a perfect smile and a sports car. I welcomed him to the neighborhood with a case of beer and invited him over for our summer barbecue. He seemed like a nice enough guy, though something about his too perfect demeanor made me slightly uncomfortable. Sarah, however, was immediately friendly with him. Too friendly, perhaps, but I pushed that thought away as simple jealousy. Sarah started mentioning Adam in conversation. Adam says investment properties in the downtown area are really taking off. Adam showed me this amazing new restaurant. Adam knows so much about wine. I ignored the warning signs, telling myself that neighborhood friendships were healthy. Last week, I was scheduled for a 3-day business trip to oversee a new construction site in Denver. The final day of meetings got canceled, giving me the opportunity to come home early. I thought it would be the perfect chance to surprise Sarah. I stopped to buy her favorite flowers and a bottle of wine on the way home. The storm hit just as I was driving into our neighborhood. The rain was coming down in sheets, lightning cracking across the sky, thunder rumbling so loud it made the car vibrate. The power went out right before I pulled into our driveway. Through the downpour, I could see the soft flicker of candlelight in our living room windows. I parked in the garage, grabbed my surprise gifts, and quietly entered the house through the laundry room, planning to surprise Sarah. But as I stepped into the hallway, I heard voices, laughter, the clink of glasses. I froze in the darkness of the hallway, listening. Sarah was speaking, her voice carrying that musical lilt it gets when she has had a couple of glasses of wine. And then I heard a male voice respond. "Adam." "To our future," Sarah said, the sound of glasses clinking following her words. "To 2 million reasons to be together," Adam replied with a low chuckle. I stood completely still, my heart suddenly pounding in my chest. Maybe this was innocent. Maybe they were just waiting out the storm together. But something in their tone made me cautious. I moved closer to the living room entrance, careful to stay hidden in the shadows. "Have you finalized the details?" Adam asked. "Everything is set," Sarah answered, her voice now businesslike. Junior is inspecting the Harrison Tower next month. The safety harness he uses will have a critical defect. 30 stories up, no one will question it when the harness fails. They will call it a tragic accident. And the insurance policy, Adam prompted, $2 million, plus the additional policy I took out last month, that he knows nothing about. Another $1.5 million. We will have to wait a few months before we can be public about us, but with that money we can go anywhere, do anything we want. The flowers fell from my hands. I felt physically ill, like someone had punched me in the stomach. My wife of 7 years, the woman I had built my life around, was planning to murder me. For money. For Adam. I admit I was worried about your plan at first, Adam said. But you were right. No one will suspect anything. Everyone knows how dangerous his job is. And once he is gone, we will finally be free to be together. The room spun around me. I leaned against the wall, trying to breathe quietly, even as my lungs felt starved for air. 7 years of memories flashed through my mind. Our first date. Our wedding day. The house we had chosen together. All of it built on a lie. Or had it become a lie somewhere along the way? I wanted to burst into the room to confront them, to demand answers. But some survival instinct held me back. If I confronted them now, what would stop them from coming up with another plan? One I would not see coming. I needed to think strategically. I quietly backed away and slipped out the same way I had come in. Sitting in my car in the pouring rain, I called the one person I knew I could trust. Marcus had been my best friend since college, and now worked as a detective in the police department. Junior, everything okay? Marcus answered, concern evident in his voice. It was nearly 10 at night. No, I said, my voice shaking despite my efforts to control it. I need your help, and I need your advice on how to handle this legally. I explained what I had overheard. There was a long silence when I finished. Do not confront them, Marcus said, finally, his voice deadly serious. We need evidence. Do you have somewhere you can stay tonight? I can go to a hotel, I replied. Good. Tomorrow, come to my office. We will get you set up with recording devices. But Junior, listen to me carefully. You need to act completely normal around Sarah. If she suspects you know anything, you could be in immediate danger. After hanging up, I drove to an electronics store that was still open and purchased several small recording devices and hidden cameras. Then I checked into a hotel for the night. I barely slept, replaying the conversation I had overheard, again and again in my mind. How long had this been going on? When had Sarah stopped loving me? Or had she ever loved me at all? The next morning I met with Marcus. He provided me with additional surveillance equipment and advice on how to legally obtain evidence. 2 hours after the power had gone out, I returned home with flashlights and acted surprised to find Adam there. The power went out, so I came over to check on Sarah. Adam explained with a friendly smile that now seemed sinister to me. That was neighborly of you, I said, matching his fake smile with one of my own. Over the next 2 weeks, I strategically placed recording devices throughout our house. I maintained a normal routine, kissing Sarah goodbye in the mornings, having dinner with her in the evenings, even making love when she initiated it. Each touch from her now felt like betrayal, but I played my part. The recordings yielded more evidence than I could have imagined. Detailed discussions of their 8-month affair. Explicit conversations about how Sarah had methodically manipulated me into increasing my life insurance policy. Plans for how they would wait an appropriate amount of time after my accident before being seen together publicly. Most chillingly, I found a recording of Sarah in our garage tampering with my safety equipment. This webbing will look like normal wear and tear, she explained to Adam over the phone. No one will question it. I carefully checked all my safety equipment before work each day, discovering that Sarah had indeed begun weakening the straps of my harness. I documented everything, taking photos and videos of the tampered equipment. I kept a detailed journal of Sarah's behavior, noting inconsistencies in her stories about where she had been and who she had been with. Through careful investigation, I discovered that Sarah had secretly taken out an additional life insurance policy on me, without my knowledge or consent, forging my signature on the documents. She had listed herself as the sole beneficiary of a policy worth $1.5 million, bringing the total insurance payout to $3.5 million if I died. I hired an attorney who specialized in both criminal law and divorce proceedings, sharing all the evidence I had gathered. He was appalled, but impressed with my methodical documentation. "You have enough here not only for a divorce but for criminal charges," he advised me. "But we need to be strategic about how we proceed." While gathering evidence, I discovered emails and texts revealing that Sarah and Adam had been involved for over 8 months. Their affair had begun at a neighborhood block party when I had been called away on business. The level of deception was staggering. They had met at hotels at his house when I was working late, and sometimes even in our bed when I was out of town. Instead of confronting Sarah directly, I decided to play the long game. I created a secret bank account and gradually moved small amounts of money from our joint account, careful not to raise suspicions. I found a furnished apartment across town and paid 3 months' rent in advance using cash. I installed a GPS tracker on Sarah's car, allowing me to monitor her movements. I recorded every phone conversation, documented every meeting between her and Adam. I gathered financial records showing unusual withdrawals Sarah had made, presumably to pay for the additional life insurance policy. With Marcus's help, I created a detailed file with all the evidence and gave copies to my attorney, Marcus, and a trusted family member. If anything happened to me, the evidence would go straight to the police. The hardest part was maintaining the facade of normalcy at home. I smiled through dinner conversations about our future, knowing Sarah was imagining a future without me. I pretended not to notice when she texted Adam right in front of me. I even helped her plan a weekend getaway that I now knew she intended to take with him after my accident. "I need to go check the new construction site next week," I told Sarah one evening, setting my plan in motion. "Should be gone for about a week." "The Harrison Tower project?" she asked, attempting to sound casual, but unable to hide the gleam of anticipation in her eyes. "Yes, final safety inspections before the interior work begins," I replied, watching her exchange a quick glance with her phone, no doubt texting Adam the news. When the day came for my supposed trip, I packed my bags as usual and kissed Sarah goodbye. "Be careful up there," she said, her concern sounding genuine, even though I knew it was not. "You know how I worry about those high rises." "Always," I assured her. "Love you." Those words, once so meaningful, now tasted like ashes in my mouth. I drove to the construction site but left my company vehicle in the parking garage. I made sure to leave my regular phone, wallet, and some personal items in the vehicle. Using a prepaid phone Marcus had helped me obtain, I took a rideshare to my secret apartment. Then I waited, watching Sarah's movements via the GPS tracker. Within hours of my departure, Adam's car was parked in our driveway. They did not even wait a full day before being together in our home. On the 3rd day of my supposed week-long trip, I stopped responding to Sarah's texts and calls. From my hidden apartment, I monitored her increasing panic as she tried to reach me. Her first calls sounded concerned, asking where I was and why I was not responding. By the end of the day, she had called my supervisor, who reported that I had not been seen at the construction site since the first day. "Junior never checked in with the site manager this morning," I heard my supervisor tell Sarah in a voicemail. "We assumed he had called in sick to you." Sarah's voice messages became increasingly frantic, but I detected something false in her concern. She called the police to report me missing, which was exactly what I had expected. Now there would be an official investigation, one that would eventually lead to the evidence I had gathered. Through Marcus, I learned that Sarah had been questioned by the police. She had played the part of the distraught wife, perfectly crying and expressing fear that I had fallen from the building. Search parties were organized. My photo was distributed. Local news ran a story about the missing engineer. After a week with no sign of my body at the construction site or anywhere else, Sarah began the process of filing claims against my life insurance policies. This was when things began to unravel for her. The insurance companies facing such large payouts launched their own investigations. A month after my disappearance, Sarah held a memorial service for me. According to Marcus, who attended undercover, she played the grieving widow masterfully. Adam stood supportively nearby, maintaining a respectful distance that fooled no one who knew the truth. I watched from a distance, as my life was eulogized, as friends shared stories about me, as Sarah accepted condolences with tears that never reached her eyes. It was surreal attending my own funeral in disguise, but necessary to maintain the illusion that their plan had worked. The insurance companies were becoming increasingly suspicious. Without a body, they were reluctant to pay the claims. Sarah's voice messages to my old phone became desperate and angry. "Where are the insurance papers?" she demanded in one message. "They are saying they need more documentation. Call me back immediately." In another, "The insurance investigators keep asking questions about our relationship. What have you told them about us?" And finally, the most revealing, "They are denying the claim. They say without proof of death they cannot process the payment. What am I supposed to do now?" All of this was for nothing. Meanwhile, the police investigation had taken an interesting turn. Based on the evidence I had provided through Marcus, they had obtained warrants to search our house and Adam's residence. They found the tampered safety equipment in our garage, and Sarah's detailed notes about the Harrison Towers layout, specifically the areas where an accident would be most believable. 3 months after my disappearance, I received the call from Marcus that I had been waiting for. "We have them," he said simply. "Sarah and Adam were arrested this morning. Conspiracy to commit murder insurance fraud and a host of other charges. It is time for you to come back from the dead." I watched the news coverage of their arrest from my apartment. Sarah looked shell-shocked as officers led her to the police car, her perfectly maintained appearance now disheveled. Adam walked several paces behind her, his head down, refusing to look at the cameras. The next day, I walked into the police station where Sarah was being held. Marcus had arranged everything. When I entered the interview room where Sarah sat in an orange jumpsuit, her face drained of all color. "You," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "But you are dead." We thought. That I fell 30 stories to my death I finished for her sitting down across the table, or that I just disappeared. "Which version were you hoping for, Sarah Jr.? I can explain." She began, tears forming in her eyes. "I heard everything that night during the power outage," I said quietly. "Every word between you and Adam. About the insurance. About your plans for after I was gone. About the safety harness you sabotaged." Her tears stopped abruptly, replaced by cold calculation. "You cannot prove anything." I smiled sadly. "Actually, I can prove everything. The recordings, the tampered equipment, your secret insurance policy, the GPS tracking of your meetings with Adam. I have been building a case against you for months." For the first time, I saw real fear in Sarah's eyes. Not fear for me, but fear for herself. After the interview, I met with my attorney to begin divorce proceedings. The criminal case against Sarah and Adam was solid. They were both facing significant prison time. My marriage was over, but at least I was alive to end it. The months that followed were the hardest of my life. Despite knowing what Sarah had done, I still grieved for the relationship I thought we had. I questioned every memory, wondering which moments had been genuine and which had been part of her deception. I moved into a new apartment, unable to return to the house we had shared. I started seeing a therapist twice a week, working through the trauma of betrayal and the collapse of my life as I knew it. There were days I could barely get out of bed, days when the pain seemed insurmountable. But slowly, I began to rebuild. I threw myself into my work, earning a promotion. I reconnected with old friends who had been sidelined during my marriage. I took up rock climbing, finding peace in the focus required to scale a wall safely, ironically, using the same safety equipment Sarah had tried to use to kill me. The divorce was finalized, 6 months after Sarah's arrest. I did not want anything from her, just freedom. The criminal trial came later, with both Sarah and Adam receiving substantial prison sentences. I testified at the trial, looking Sarah in the eye as I described finding the weakened safety harness that would have sent me plummeting to my death. 1 year after that fateful night during the power outage, I found myself in a better place than I could have imagined in those dark early days. The betrayal had changed me, made me more cautious perhaps, but also more appreciative of genuine connections. I had learned that sometimes you have to lose everything to find out who you really are. That survival can be its own form of victory. That the darkness, however overwhelming it seems, eventually gives way to light. Looking back now, I am grateful for that storm, for that power outage, for coming home early that night. Without those chance events, I would not be here today to tell this story. We often think we know the people closest to us, but sometimes the truth hides in plain sight, waiting for a moment of darkness to reveal itself. Have you ever experienced a moment that completely changed your perspective on someone you trusted? Share your story in the comments below. I read every comment and would love to hear how you handled betrayal or unexpected revelations in your own life. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe to hear more real-life experiences. And do not forget to share this video with someone who might need to hear that even after the darkest betrayal, there is hope for healing and a new beginning. Thank you for listening to my story. And remember, sometimes what seems like the end is really just a painful but necessary new beginning.